Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this IBPS Clerk and RBI Assistant 2017 Winning Techniques live session brought to you by TalentSprint. Good morning, Sindhu. Sindhu was worried that nobody was there, and then we had a couple of people coming back and saying, hey, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. So who's here? Rahul, Mohan, Swati, Lavdos, Shravani, Sanket, Sharat, Gopi, Aditya, Jaya, Anjan. Okay, so welcome to all of you who are here. Some more people joining us. As always, appreciate your commitment and thank you for taking the time to be here this morning. It's a bright, sunny day here down south. So we didn't have any issues starting the session on time, especially half an hour earlier, right? 10:30 instead of 11 o'clock. So I'm glad those of you are here. It doesn't matter what time you're here, which means you're eager to learn. And today's session is about spot the error, right? There are so many different patterns going around, especially when it comes to this particular error. We had looked at those patterns. If you were part of yesterday's evening session, where we specifically focused on IBPS PO mains, right, where we discussed a whole range of questions when it comes to the English language. So in that also we saw a lot of patterns where, whether it's sentence correction or spot the error, moderate to difficult question types is what we looked at. Yep, so it doesn't matter, I just wanted to put it out there, it doesn't matter how the pattern is. I think what matters is for you to be able to know what to look for, right? What sort of an error am I looking for? Which means you need to be aware of certain errors. So I feel the challenge is a lot of us are not aware of all the possible types of errors, one. Two is you haven't practiced to such an extent where as soon as you see the question, you're able to identify the error. And at the same time also, be wise to not spend too much time on a question, especially when there is no error in that question. Like some of us are so tuned to finding an error, we waste a lot of time on one question, or we invent an error in that question, right? That's something that we need to avoid. So we'll get started. Let me share the PPT. So we're going to look at, so like I said, it doesn't matter the pattern, but what matters is, are you aware of, okay, this is the type of error that I should be looking for, right? Let's start. Okay, before we start though, I remember, I don't know if it's Gurpreet or someone else, I think in yesterday's session or day before, I'm not too sure. I was just going through the comments and I saw that one of the questions was, I think it was the last question for fill in the blanks, if I'm not wrong. Difference between absolved of and absolved from. So I quickly wanted to address that. A lot of you came back because you will see sentences that have that combination, absolved from. But let's quickly look at that difference and then we'll move on to the questions, right? I think it's important for us to know these differences so we don't get confused. So let me put it out here, okay? Absolved of and absolved from to start with. Now, if you ask me, the verb absolve itself means what? A lot of you came back and gave a definition for this, right? You said it is declaring someone free from guilt or obligation or punishment, right? This was the definition of absolve. So for me, because absolve itself means You're declaring someone free from guilt. When I say absolve from, it just becomes redundant in meaning for me. It's like saying declare someone from guilt, declare someone from obligation, declare someone from punishment, right? So it's redundant in meaning. So though people use this, right, that's the problem with our people, with us, even you and I could have used it the same way, right? So these are all superfluous in meaning, right? You don't need two words that mean the same coming together. So ideally, if you are in doubt, just stick to absolved of, right, which will be the right way, especially in spot the error, right? If you have these two options or fill in the blanks, out of this which one to choose, always stick to absolved of. So I just wanted to clarify that. So, it's like saying, I'll give you superfluous meaning. I'm sure you know a lot of words that have superfluous meaning, right? For example, added bonus. Bonus itself means something extra, something added, right? So why would you say added bonus? Or I've heard people say, let's combine this together. Combine itself means coming together. You're bringing two things together, right? So just superfluous meaning, avoid, absolved from. Though you will have people use it, doesn't mean it's a correct usage or construction, right? It's just like a superfluous meaning. A lot of us use this. Another famous one is revert back. So things like that. So keep this in mind. Just to put this in a context, let me say, the pardon absolved them of any crimes, right? So always stick to absolved of. So I just wanted to clarify that. Let's move forward. So it's important for us to know these differences so we don't get confused. Now we'll get to our famous spot the error questions. Okay, let's look at the first one. Constitution of our country states that it is the fundamental duty of every citizen to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India. So we have 4 parts. We'll have to obviously identify which part has the error. Any guesses? I would ideally say not to, Pradeep, because both mean the same, right? Can as a modal expresses the meaning of ability. In fact, a lot of them say that I can able to do this. I've taken that in 5 commonly used incorrect phrases, right? So I would ideally want you to avoid things like that. I can able to do this, incorrect. I can do this, or I am able to do this. Yeah? So I'm waiting for responses for the question. Let me put the question back. Any guesses? So I have only Mohit who's answered. Anybody else wants to give it a try? Some of us are saying part 2 is where the error is. Okay. Three, some of you are coming back, and basically I have 1, 2, and 3. Anybody wants to go for 4? So we'll be, we'll cover all the parts. See this entire phrase, let's go from the back. Okay, nobody has said 4 so far because it's just unity and integrity of India. I don't think people can find any error there. But let's look at part 2 and 3. It is the fundamental duty of every citizen to uphold and protect the sovereignty. So the constitution of the country is stating something, right? What it is? It is the fundamental duty of every citizen, right? The duty, he should own this. Every citizen should own this. Of as a preposition is absolutely fine, right? It is the fundamental duty. So we're being very specific here. The definite article is fine. Fundamental is the adjective describing duty, the noun. No error in part 2. To do what? To uphold and protect the sovereignty. That is also fine. Now, but the first one, the first part where it says, Constitution of our country states that. So they're being very specific, right? What we tend to miss out is errors pertaining to articles. Basically, what's missing here is Dhruvil, Mohit had pointed that out initially, right? The Constitution of our country states that. Being very specific in meaning, right? Who is stating that? The Constitution of our country is stating that. So yes, don't worry about errors pertaining to punctuations in questions like this, Dhruvil. You won't lose marks based on that. In fact, the direction itself will tell you, right? So the error is in part 1, where you add the before Constitution, and that's it. Everything else is absolutely fine. The Constitution of our country states that. Who is stating that? Who is stating something specific? Something specific has been stated. Who is doing that? The Constitution. Right? So it's important for you to look at the context as a whole and see, break down sentences, ask questions. For me, if you ask me, asking questions not just in jumble sentences or closed passage or fill in the blanks, even in spot the error, will help you identify errors that you may overlook otherwise. Okay? So we're going to move on. So this is an article-based error. Yeah? Let's look at the next one. Despite so much global concern and international support, satisfactory recovery of tiger population still elude us in all the tiger range countries. Yeah, so after you look at the context, it feels very simple. But in the exam, I'm sure you might overlook that part and say no error. Most of you came back and said no error for the first question, right? The second one, so Joshua is saying part A. A lot of you are coming back and saying part A, part A, part A. So let's break it down, right? Despite, we know, gives us the meaning of in spite of. So in spite of so much global, correct. Oh, ee part lo answer undi ani cheppin tarvata, yes, simple ga anipistundi. Exactly. Anyway, so in spite of so much global concern and international support, what's happening? Satisfactory recovery of tiger population still elude us in all the tiger range countries. So I have BD. Concerns, changing that into a plural noun number doesn't change or affect the sentence grammatically or meaningfully. There is a global concern and international support. Rama, we never say despite of, because I just said, right, the meaning of despite itself means in spite of. So this is incorrect. Yes, Monica, you didn't know that? Yeah? So, are you following? Satisfactory recovery of tiger population. Satisfactory recovery of tiger population. Still, so I wanted to break it down again. See, satisfactory is just the adjective describing recovery, right? So what's the subject here? Recovery is a singular subject, right? So satisfactory recovery of tiger population still, yes, Navneet, correct, right? We need a singular subject, but the verb is not singular, it's plural. How do I change that? I just add an S. So yes, the error is in 1, 2, 3, part C. Still eludes us. Despite so much global concern and international support, satisfactory recovery of tiger population still eludes us in all the tiger range countries. See, please note that this preposition in is absolutely fine because we're talking about countries in those specific countries. So countries, states and all, we always use the preposition in, right? So you don't have to make changes to the preposition there. Absolutely. You can leave that as it is. And somebody came back and said, tiger range. There's nothing wrong with tiger range. Yeah? So it's a subject-verb agreement error, right? The subject is recovery, which is a singular subject. The first one was an article error. This one is a subject-verb agreement error. So again, if you're not paying attention, you might miss out. Yeah? Okay, a lot of you are coming back and asking the meaning of elude. Elude means like escaping or avoiding something, right? So the satisfactory recovery of tiger population still eludes us in all the tiger range countries. So this is not happening. You're trying to avoid or escape this particular danger. You're failing to attain the satisfactory recovery of tiger population, despite so much global concern and international support. So basically, what is the context saying? The context is saying, boss, there is so much of global concern and international support, but we are still failing to take care of this issue. We are failing to achieve what the desire is. The desire is we need to protect the tiger population. Satisfactory recovery of tiger population still eludes us in all the tiger range countries. You're failing to accomplish that. You're failing to protect the tiger population. Satisfactory recovery is not happening. You're escaping from doing your job. You're avoiding doing this, right? Eludes means that's what. Yeah. Let's move on. Maria woke up and hearing all the noise and seeing her mother crying, asked her what was the matter. What do you think? Where do you think the error is? Maria woke up and hearing all the noise and seeing her mother crying. So did you look at parallel construction? Does that seem fine? Okay. Do you think this question has an error? The first one was an article error. Second was a subject-verb agreement error. Let's move a little fast. Hearing all the noise, seeing all the, so ing, there's parallelism maintained with the conjunction and here. So that seems fine. Saw her mother what? Crying. Asked her what? What was the matter? A lot of you coming back and saying, one, why? See, the thing is, for me, since it's and as a conjunction is there, as long as both the verbs are in the same verb form, which is here continuous verb form. If I have to change seeing, then I have to change here also, right? Then I can't make changes both in part 2 and part 1. As soon as she woke up, the action is continuous for her. What is it? Hearing is continuous. Then she's looking at her mother. We don't have to introduce something. Same thing. If you say on hearing, then I have to say on seeing as well, right? I can't choose two parts that have an error. So Maria woke up and hearing all the noise and seeing her mother crying, asked her what was the matter. So if you look at this, she's she's asking her, this is not a direct question, right? If it's a direct question, she'll say, what's the matter? But since this is not a direct question and it's a statement, right? She's asking her what the matter was. Yes. So this is something that people can overlook again. It's a word order error. Right? Part 4, if you notice, it says, what was the matter? Right? It's not a the sentence doesn't end with a question, it's a statement. So if it's a statement, you change it to what the matter was. Okay? Word order. To make sure it's in line with a statement. So she asked her mother what the matter was. It's like, it's a reporting, right? You're reporting this. Maria is not asking her mother a question directly. It's not a direct speech. If it's a direct speech, then you ask a question. What's the matter? Are you following? Very, again, people might overlook this error. Yeah? Understand if it's a statement or a question. Change the word order accordingly. Let's look at the next one. The international law of human rights now comprises of more than 80 universal and regional conventions which have binding force. Basically, I just gave you the difference, Aditya. What is the matter? What was the matter is a question. What the matter was is a statement. The international law of human rights now comprises of more than 80 universal and regional conventions which have binding force for state parties. Do you think there is an error here? So Venu says 1, Sap says 1. Yeah. So this one you should know by now, by heart. I ideally want all of you to come back and say part 1 is where the error is. I don't want anybody making any mistakes in this one. Why? I still see people making mistakes in this one. Some of you are saying part 2, some of you are saying part 4. So explain, why do you feel part 2 and part 4 have errors? Yep. Yes. See, the first obvious thing that you need to notice is, obviously in part 1, right, you don't say comprises of. Comprises itself means, this is like saying despite of. You don't say despite of, because despite itself means in spite of. Likewise, comprise itself means consists of. Right? So if this is the meaning, of is redundant, I need not have this of. So yes, the error is in part 1. You delete the unnecessary preposition of. Yeah, that's the obvious error, yes. But I'm trying to figure out the others who said 2 and 4. In fact, that's a collocation, right? Binding force of law. So when you say something is a binding force, what do you mean by it? Let me put it down here. Right? When you're saying something is a binding force, what do you mean by that? I'll give you other collocations. A binding agreement or a binding promise. Which means something, yes, something that has to be carried out, basically. The force that binds, yeah, holds something together. Imagine a bound book, right? It holds all the pages together. That's why you give it, why do you give a book to bind? Because you want it to all be together, right? Bound together. So think of it that, so which have binding force for state parties. So I want you to break down sentences, break down phrases and words and try and figure out the meaning. Try and relate it to something. Binding. What can I relate it to? Book binding. What does it do? puts all the pages together, holds something together. Yeah, yeah. Let's move on. So there's no error in part 2 and part 4, just for everybody else. A new compound developed at the Tokyo Institute of Technology shows highly unusual conducting properties. This could be used in future electronic components. Where do you think the error is? Or is there an error at all? Sorry, I didn't, yeah. I'll read it again because I didn't put the screen up for you. A new compound developed at the Tokyo Institute of Technology shows highly unusual conducting properties. This could be used in future electronic components. What is the problem regarding has and have? Has is singular, have is plural. He has, she has, I have, they have, we have. Avunu Vicky, problem enti? Where is the question? Show us the slide. I have shown it. Why, Mohit? Tell me. A new compound developed at the Tokyo Institute of Technology shows highly unusual conducting properties. Yes. So, are you following? So this is not, there's no full stop here, right? For us to start with this could be used. I need a relative pronoun which is substituting the properties. Exactly. So a new compound developed at the Tokyo Institute of Technology. So this is additional information about that new compound. It shows highly unusual conducting properties, right? Because it shows these highly unusual conducting properties, those. So the right thing to replace this is, yeah, that. That could be used in future electronic components. No, I mean, highly is just an adverb, right? Highly unusual conducting properties, yeah. How unusual? Highly unusual. That's fine. So the error is in C. Yes. A new compound developed at the Tokyo Institute of Technology shows highly unusual conducting properties that could be used in future electronic components. That's about it. Let's look at this. It is commonly understood that a country as large in size and population as India probably will be prone to mishaps. Where do you think the error is in this one? Is there an error at all? A good question, Perambudur. The way I see it is, let's just address Perambudu's question, right, and Harpreet's question as well. So, of all the things about this new compound, the only thing that's specifically mentioned in the context saying can be used in future electronic components is the highly unusual conducting properties. So, there could be so many features about the new compound, right? But there's only one feature being spoken about or addressed in the context. About the new compound, which is what is that feature? Highly unusual conducting properties. So when I'm limiting information, I will always use that versus which, right? And this is important, right? See, which always is only giving, it's only about giving additional information. If I remove the clause with which, the sentence will still be meaningfully intact. So keep that in mind. Anything that limits your information, which is being a little specific and not just giving additional information, always stick to that. Yes, both that and which can be used for things, no problem. Shalaka, increase your resolution and refresh. Yeah, that's the only difference. We'll go back to the next one. Where do you think the error is in this one? We're overshooting time. This is our last question. Let's quickly look at it. Tell me if you're able to identify any error or not. What do you guys think? Do you think there's any error in this question? Yes, Mohit. That is why it's called restrictive. As large as, okay. As large as in size is incorrect actually. As large in size as a construction is grammatically correct. So you don't have to as large as something, because I have a preposition there, you need to keep that in mind. As large in size, so there's no problem in B. See, in fact, this entire thing, your as large as is there. It's just as something interjected in between. So that's fine. The construction is still maintained. As large as is there, as large in what? Specifically in size and population. Are you following? It is commonly understood the country as large in what? Size and population as India. So that as large as is there. It's just that they are interjecting information pertaining to what about India is large, size and population. Prone to is fine. Prone means, when you say something is prone to, what do you mean by it? You tell me. You know this word, right? It's not a very difficult word. You're prone to do something means you're likely, highly susceptible to mishaps. Mishaps means, what's a mishap? Mishap is an accident actually, right? Some sort of a difficulty or some sort of an issue or some sort of a problem or some sort of a setback. So because India is so large in size and population, so obviously you can expect it to be likely to have a lot of setbacks, have a lot of issues, have a lot of problems. That's what the context is saying. So, but this is a very tricky one. People might overlook it again. There is an error. Some of you came back and said, hey, I think there's no error. It's absolutely fine. But let's quickly look at it. It's to do with this adverb probably. It's to do with the adverb probably. Okay. Now usually probably is an adverb of certainty. I mean, there are a lot of adverbs. Right? You have adverbs of manner, adverbs of time. Let me just put it down here. Adverbs of certainty. Think of adverbs of certainty. You know this actually. Certainly. Definitely. Sorry about that. Definitely. Clearly. Obviously. Right? And probably. So basically these adverbs of certainty, ideally they get placed between, where is their placement? Between, here we have the modal verb will, and then the be form. So in terms of placement, adverbs of placement can also be an error, right? But you should be very careful because some adverbs, they can be placed either ways. They can be placed in the beginning of the sentence, they can be placed at the end of the sentence. So let me quickly close this, okay? So let me give you so basically we're saying, as India will probably be prone to mishaps. Yep. So let me give you other examples. They will probably be late. So this is something that you need to look up. The error is in part D. You interchange the placement of probably, right? This is another one that you can probably overlook, but it is important for you to look up these sort of errors as well. Place adverbs of place, where do you place the adverbs? You could possibly get errors pertaining to this as well, so keep this in mind. So I don't want to take up a lot of time. We've in fact overshot our time. So continue to take up more questions, especially spot the error, because you'll find something new, some new concept for you to go back and brush up on, right? We saw a whole load of concepts here, whether it's subject-verb agreement or adverb placement, whether it's adverbs of frequency, adverbs of time, or adverbs of manner. Certain words don't go together, like despite of, comprises of, right? Tenses as usual, prepositional errors, conjunction errors. So brush up your basic concepts, and I'm sure that will help you score more in the exam. So continue practicing. All the best. I will see you guys tomorrow, same time at 11 o'clock, and then we'll take it from there. Have a nice day, guys. Bye.